So, you may be wondering why I got so little accomplished on the green bus during the year of 2020. I mean, I had all that free time during the pandemic, right? Well, it's not that simple. Fortunately, nothing is ever that simple in my life. See, a few years ago, I made this terrible mistake where I switched homeowners insurance companies to save like a couple $100. Well, my new insurance company required me to do about, well, what would have been $50,000 worth of work to my house because, well, they just decided to be dicks, I guess. So in 2018, like I had to redo my entire garage, kind of like one wall at a time, and pretty much replace the entire roof, like half of the wood on the roof, and add extra roof trusses and everything. And while I was at it, I put some windows in, and that was a huge project. But that wasn't just it. I had to completely reside the south wall of my house, which involved new shingles, replacing like half of the wood and painting it and stuff. But it looks a lot better than it did, which is nice. But the last thing they required me to do was the roof of at least the front of my house. The parts that they could see from the street, right? And it turned out that the roofing shingles on the front of my house were just about getting to the point where it's starting to leak. So the spring of 2020, I did that. And unfortunately, it was not quite easy enough to just call roofers and have them stick a new layer of shingles on there because my house has idiosyncrasies. See, my house is built in 1765, and on a 1765 house, the rafters, they're not 16 inches apart or 24 inches apart. They're like 4 feet apart, which is fine if the boards that span between, rafter to rafter are what it originally would have had, which would have been like nice, wide, thick, chunky planks. But at some point in the 1950s, somebody replaced these planks with 3/4 inch thin, 8-inch wide tongue and groove pine boards. So if you're walking on the roof of my house on these pine boards that are kind of bouncy, it's like walking on a trampoline. So the idea of like 10 dudes, with nail guns up there bouncing around on my roof trying to shoot nails through this really flimsy roof is a scary idea. I decided the best way to fix this would be to, strip the shingles off a little at a time and then add 4x8 sheets of plywood that you would screw together and just sandwich the boards and the plywood together. And then you'd have a nice solid base to lay your shingles on. And since this is something that would have required a lot of patience, I don't think any roofing guys would have done that, at least not cheaply. And I don't have any money anyway, so, well, you get your hammers and you get your ladders and you just do the damn thing yourself. And it wasn't without its drama because, about halfway through, we had a horrible rainstorm, which overcame, the things I had up there trying to cover it to keep the rain from getting in. And so it's just coming in everywhere now. Fucking can't do this anymore. It's just, I thought it would just come in a couple places. It's just all fucking water coming in. This is like the worst day ever. At several points I was ready to lose my mind on this project. I also put a brand new skylight in, which came out pretty nice. But the whole entire job, it impressed the insurance company was happy. Even the building inspector was happy. So I was in a much better place by the middle of the year 2020. The other thing I did during 2020 was that I completely renovated my bathroom. And this involved ripping out a really miserable, gross, bathtub combo where the bathtub, only got about 9 inches deep at the most. And then this hideous linoleum floor where you couldn't tell the difference between, the dirt that was printed on the linoleum and the actual dirt itself. And the old sink was this hideous little dinky thing that didn't even have a cabinet underneath. So, I ended up completely building a vanity cabinet by myself based on a free vanity sink that I got from Facebook Marketplace. And I completely redid the floor with really pretty inkjet printed Turkish tiles or porcelain tiles. And I spent a lot of effort trying to make things line up really beautifully and go around the radiator hoses, and everything looks about as beautiful as you could expect it to look. And then for the tub, instead of having a shower tub, I just went with a clawfoot tub. No shower at all, because, well, showers make steam and that actually kills bathrooms, and I'm actually totally fine without a shower. So I put in this giant clawfoot tub that I also got for free years and years ago, waiting just for this particular job. And the whole entire renovation came in at like under $500. But it didn't leave a lot of time to work on the bus that year. Sometimes I don't know where to stop with my house renovations, but I also love the idea that it's this unfinished project that just keeps going endlessly. I've done a lot more to my house since then, but let's forget about that and jump into the green bus project again, where by April 2021, in our last exciting episode, I was left convinced that the engine was trash and was going to need to be replaced. Okay, it's springtime again, and we're going to pick up where we left off on the green bus. Pretty much haven't done anything to it since I brought it home. Since I brought it to my parents' house, where the majority of the Volkswagen parts live. I have driven it around a little bit. Done a couple little trips. I got kind of confident, a little overconfident with it, because it was running fine, even though I know the thing has a lot of end play. So I still think the engine needs to come out and get replaced with something else. Yeah, it's not supposed to be, end play is not supposed to be audible. I mean, I don't have a thing to measure end play, but if you can hear it, if you can pull it back and forth and hear it, that's not a very good sign. So I don't think the bottom end of this engine is very good. Also, despite the fact that there's a lot of new parts on it, I don't know. I don't really trust what's going on here. So I think the thing to do will be to replace it with another one and worry about this one later. I'm going to replace it with one that is this one right here, which is on my dad's old VW engine stand. Well, let's just put another engine in it. Because, of course, I've got more Volkswagen engines, which leads me to the next question I want to answer. Why on earth would I buy another project car when I've got two other buses and other project cars, many which you haven't seen yet, all the subject of possible future videos? Well, believe it or not, there is a method to this madness. See, my dad was a Volkswagen mechanic and a hoarder, probably one of the biggest hoarders in all of Massachusetts. And I'm going to make a whole video just about the hoarding because it's pretty much of epic proportions and it can't be just covered in one sentence. But I inherited a redonkulous amount of Volkswagen parts. So much that for like 15 years, I was going to the swap meets and the VW shows, and I was the one that always had all the little bits and pieces that no one else had. Which was good for a couple years until it got boring. And, you know, it's like diminishing returns. You sell all the nice stuff the first couple years, and then you're left with the same stuff that everybody else has. But when I saw this green bus that a friend of mine wanted to sell, I was like, oh, I've got that bit, I've got that bit, I've got that bit, I've got that. I instantly knew I had all these different pieces, bits and pieces that I could put properly. Add to that, I also had like a nice big chunk of foam rubber that I used in this big prop couch thing. And that was perfect for the Z-bed, and foam is like hundreds of dollars, which is ridiculous. And I also had some laminate flooring that I'd salvaged from my old barn. That was like perfect to use in that because my 1765 house, I would never put laminate flooring in it. Heresy. And the other thing you may have noticed is that I don't really have a good place to work on cars, but I actually have a fair amount of land on my property. What I really need is a brand new garage. And as you can probably tell, I could build a whole goddamn garage if I wanted to. But, so the idea is to take this bus, which, I'll be honest, it cost me about $4,000, which seems like a lot, but, you know, even the really crappy ones are getting $1,000 or $2,000 for them, which is insane. And, you know, don't even talk about, like, the tax rate. You know, what I had to pay on sales tax on this thing was a bit ridiculous. They thought it was already worth, like, $40,000, which is insane. So the idea is to take this bus, use my skills, and use like my endless supply of VW parts and turn it into a $20,000 bus or a $25,000 camper bus. I'll see if that happens. And then maybe take that money and use that to build a garage. Or at least get the foundation poured on a garage. Well, that was the plan, but maybe I could have my cake and eat it too if I like rent my bus out to people who want to use it on the weekend on, let's say, Turo.com. This is not an ad for Turo.com. However, maybe in the future, if my YouTube goes well, I'll be hawking ads for all sorts of crap. Like Turo.com or, I don't know, HelloFresh. I don't know. What do people run ads for? I hope I don't have to do that. We'll figure out some way of not doing that. But anyway, let's go back to April 2021 and just see where I was at. This is the engine that came out of Uncle Andy's bus. I know. Who's Uncle Andy? Well, he's my dad's brother. He's also passed away. But he had a 1969 bus, which sat in our yard forever, since late 70s. And this engine was sitting in it until about 2009 when I scrapped the bus. And going by what my dad told me, he said it ran fine. And I have, turns over nice. As you can kind of see, all the valves open and close like they should. Actually feels like it's got decent compression. And best of all, here, it's tight as you can imagine. So here's an engine that probably hasn't been rebuilt 14 times, you know, maybe by a 14-year-old at some point. Not that 14-year-old couldn't rebuild an engine, but anyway, it's kind of an untouched thing. And even though the engine tin ain't so hot, I was going to use the engine tin off of that one and the muffler and all that stuff, move that over to this one, probably do a check the valves out, definitely do a valve adjustment, and hope for the best, I guess. Definitely been looking at a lot of videos on YouTube of how to rehab old engines if what you got are just old engine parts. Like, there's another engine. That one is says 69 Carmen Ghia. I think it's a 1500. I'm trying to think of what I think the engine code is like H or something. It kind of looks like it could take the mustache bar. It's hard to tell in this light. That one also turns nice and looks like, I don't even know what car that came out of, but I might put that in this Carmen Ghia because I have a crazy idea to put this engine in this Carmen Ghia, just make the thing go and then sell it as a project car for someone else to fix up because I got way too many project cars. And here's my dad's old shop. And you think this is bad, you should have seen it 20 years ago. You couldn't have gotten one car in here. And since then, I've put my DS, my Citroen DS. This looks pretty bad, but it actually doesn't have any rust on it, any significant rust on it at all. Plus, it has a Webasto full sunroof, which is very cool. Got leather seats. Does have the air conditioner in it. No rust, well, no rot. However, the engine in this is stuck, but it's not seized because this is difficult to explain. All the evidence points to the idea that someone put this engine in it before they gave up on it, because there's various bits of wiring connected to the engine that are duplicated on the car, which makes sense if you got an engine out of another car, like a junkyard, and you just cut wires and stuff. So it doesn't
seem to be, and because of that, nobody in their right mind would put a seized engine in a car. That makes no sense at all. So I'm saying that the engine is stuck. I've been trying to get this thing unstuck for a while. I may have to pull the head off and do it. However, the DS is not getting any worse. I got tons of DS parts. I mean, that's all seats. Those are DS seats. I got hoods. Tons of the bright work. And
No, Tara, stay focused. Don't get distracted by all. Oh God, oh my God, it's hopeless. It's completely fucking hopeless. Ugh.
So I'm sort of left to figure out what the hell I'm going to do in here, because right now, you know, if I'm going to pull that engine, I can drive it up to here and I could take the engine out, but I need some space here. I could use a good workbench. I could use some space. I've got there's tons of Citroen DS seats, all kinds of door panels. There's a lot of DS parts here. I mean, the thing to do is really just put some of the cars together, use up all the parts that are good, get rid of the other ones. But like that's all Carmen Ghia stuff for the Carmen Ghia. So my thought was to I mean, this is why I need a virgin space, completely fresh and clear, where I can think clearly about stuff. It's so hard to work around this shit, you know? And, you know, but it's better than having the stuff being stored outdoors, you know? So, I want to work on this motor. I have a place to work. And if I just start shuffling things around, you end up, they call churning. You're not actually getting rid of anything. You're just moving stuff around. You're taking that stuff and you're putting it over there, and you're putting that stuff over there, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. You're not actually getting rid of anything. So maybe I could paw through this and make some sacrifices. Make some, yeah. Get rid of some stuff. Okay, back that up. I've been saying for a while, I've been trying to say for a while that I should start getting rid of any parts for any cars that I don't think I'm ever going to own again. Like Saab 96 parts, Volkswagen Squareback, Fastback. I'm not going to... Why have the parts now? Unless they're perfect and you know they're worth some money, you know... I got that. Cylinder heads, more cylinders. I mean, a lot of... I mean, there's tons... There's like valve cover. The brake pads are any good. It's I don't know where to start anymore. And for the longest time, I went through this and I took all the lumber and all the wood out of here. That was a big deal, because, you know, what are you going to do with all the fucking lumber? You know, here we go. There's more windows. I mean, yeah. I mean, I suppose, and then you gotta get rid of the glass and stuff. It's just, oh look, there's a pile of glass right over there. And side, what is that? That's all between those windows, a bunch of wood. And these windows themselves, I mean, they're beautiful, they're huge, but they need a bit of work. I mean, we've been neglecting the maintenance on this building. It's a little bit rough on the bottoms. You think this is bad? You should have seen it, you know, back in the 90s. You couldn't get a single car in here. Okay, all right. I worked in the shop today, and I made some progress. I at least can get to the bench top here, and I could do things like charge batteries and stuff. And I removed a lot of stuff that was up in here, and there's a big pile of door cards and carpets that was there. Although most of the carpets are right there. They're carpets for one of these things, Citroen. I'm gonna have to find another home for those. Someplace where the critters can't make houses in them. But maybe I should go through them and get rid of half of them or something. So anyway, what would be really nice at some point to do is to make it so that I can work on this workbench. Right now, under the workbench are about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 VW Beetle Type 3 transmissions. I don't need one of them. I don't know why I would need 7. I should just get them out of here and maybe make a shelf there and put all the stuff that's on there in the shelf. I don't know. That's mostly parts for the Citroen. Blah, blah, blah. And then once I have a bench top, then I can start working on this motor. And also the motor. This is the motor that's going to go in the green bus. I also have that motor, which I was thinking about making it run and sticking it in that Carmen Ghia. If I could build a engine testing piece of bell housing with a starter on it, I can give this engine a go. See what's going on here. So yeah. This feels good. This one feels good, yeah. And then this one that's going to go in the green bus feels really nice. All the valves open and close like they're supposed to. A lot of these were running engines that just came out of cars that rusted away. So they weren't cars that were retired because of mechanical failures. They were retired because of rust. Probably the same with the transmissions, but I've never known an old Beetle transmission to break for any reason. They're fairly reliable. I might, if a couple of these are stuck, I'm just going to chuck them. Maybe the ones that are got some hope, I'll just try to sell. Get $50 a piece for them. It might be worth it. Otherwise, I suppose they're just scrap. Probably about $20 of scrap metal in them, but anyway. There's a bus transmission too. I'm going to keep that one. But yeah, some progress. Doesn't look great, but it's very cluttered. Lots of 637 tow. That's a great plate. So I'm back at Dad's shop, and I'm gonna pull all these transmissions out of here. Well, except for the bus one. But there's a bunch over here. There's one under here. There's 1, 2, 3 over here. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 of them. And I know there's number 12 in another building. So I'm going to pull these all out. I'm going to put them in the other building as a place where I can take pictures of them. And I'm going to run an ad for them. Try to get $100 a pop for them. That is a steal, considering that they are probably good transmissions. But I may even try to sell a couple of them on eBay too, for a little more. So that is a plan. And that will free up a buttload of space. And if they don't sell, I don't know what I'm going to do. Maybe someone will come and buy the whole lot for $500 or something. I'd be happy with that. Just pains me to get rid of them for scrap value and get $50 for all of them when you could have got, $1,000. Anyway, hopefully they will be worth the effort. So I dragged all 11 of them out, and well, they're not as good as I thought, but at least 3 of them are marked okay. Another 2 of them are, another 4 of them or so are unmarked, and at least 3 of them are marked as having a reverse problem. It says Rev Idler, Rev NG, 70R question mark. So that, I don't know if this is reverse gear in this part of it. I don't actually, this might be reverse gear. I don't know. I don't really know where reverse is on these things. But that's good. At least it means that half of them I don't have to feel bad about junking. Maybe I can still get a little bit of money for the no reverse ones. A couple of these are a little bit more, that one doesn't turn, so that one's probably toast. Which is good, because I need a bell housing off of one of these. So I wouldn't feel so bad about just scrapping some of these. But at least 5 of them, perhaps 6, I could try to sell. So it's not quite as much of a cash cow as I thought it would be. But I'm going to get them out of here. That's the important thing. Alright, so I have moved all the transmissions out of there and put them in another location, hopefully just as a holding position for when people come and buy them. And if they don't buy them, that's the holding position between now and the scrapyard. My next thing that I'll probably do, which, next time I'm here, I don't really feel like doing it today, going through all that stuff in there. Actually some good engine tin in there. And then at that point, I will probably build a shelf in there, or maybe I won't even do a shelf, but I would hope that all these boxes, and these are all Citroen parts that came with that car. Haven't really gone through them yet, but I think they're fairly organized. I will probably just tuck them under there, and then I will have a bench that is for the most part, nice and clean that I can work on. So I can actually plop VW motors on there when I'm working on them. And then I can finally get to this thing. Yeah. So, it's looking a lot clearer. And, maybe even some of the parts in here aren't worth keeping. Yeah. I think there's some saw parts in. I'll go through. Probably okay. Here we go. Do I need a broken mirror? Maybe to replace the glass? Oh gosh, I don't know. If within the next couple days I get a nice clean clear bench, I can go full speed ahead on the motor for the bus. And I even uncovered another motor in the other proper garage that turns freely, and it looks like it would fit a bus. It's a dual port one, so I got another one as well. And especially considering that I got like 1, 2, 3 dual port cylinder heads here, means that and I'm starting to get a handle on what it takes, what you can do to sort of rehab these, with taking out the valves and stuff. I think I actually have the tools to take the valves out as well, and but you can reseat the valves. You can take valves out of one and put them in another. You can do a lot of work on these, so you can basically do a valve job. Never done a valve job on a bug before, bug engine, but it's always the first time. Or you could just find one that's good as is and pop them on there. As long as I got a motor with good main bearings and compression, that's that's a lot of the problem. Although compression could be off if you have valve issues as well. But we'll see what happens. Hopefully I'll sell some of these transmissions soon, and one of the broken ones I'm going to make a bell housing test bench for these things, so that I can hook them up to a battery and gas and spin them over. And it's much easier to check compression when you can spin them over rather than by hand. Okay, that's it for today.
So I ended up getting those transmissions out of there, and in their place I put all the boxes of Citroen parts. So now I have a nice clean bench top that I can actually work on. And the shop itself is a lot cleaner too.
And welcome all to the Filthy Gearbox Garage. Welcome boys and girls and cats and dogs. However, we will not extend that welcome to mice, because I am looking at a very, very, very mousy engine. So anyway, here's the motor that I want to put into that bus in place of the one that's in there that's got has a lot of end play. This thing has no end play. It's real tight. So the main bearings in this thing are real nice. I've got good news and I got bad news. So, well, I guess I'll start with the bad. The bad news is the mice. And I did break some of the screws here that hold the tin on. However, the shake and brake tool, which I got, it's a shake and brake tool, worked really wonderful. So a lot of them did come out. So I'm only dealing with, there's one that's still on there. I'm in pretty good shape. Like these, I didn't break off any intake manifold studs. I have exhaust studs. I'm gonna have to get the nuts off of those without breaking the studs. That's gonna be a challenge. Probably the thing to do is to saw or grind them so that your bolts are just like this, and then you just sort of chip away what's left. and you don't, and that way you don't damage the studs. So anyway, so I was kind of fearful for a while because I would, however, when I went to turn it yesterday, I could only do like almost one full rotation and then it would stop. So I started thinking that maybe I had valves that were stuck open, or maybe there's a broken piece of valve jammed in there. And so I did start pulling things apart. I pulled all the rockers off for a while. I put them back on for now. I pulled the plugs out and stuff to see if there's any debris in there. I removed all the tin and the doghouse. And then I just started, I don't know, I got real lucky once I got, for some reason, when I took the fuel pump off, which goes right here, then it actually gave me full rotations. So I feel we got a motor here that, despite looking like crap, might be a peach. So turns great. Next step for me to do right now is I'm gonna blow out all this mouse crud. I don't know if I'm gonna pull the heads off of this. If I can get away without pulling the heads off, maybe, I don't know. Might be a good idea to take them off. I've never done valve jobs before, so I'm a little worried about breaking things when I take them off, so it's like leaving things as they are. It's very tempting. However, I guess the thing to do would be, once it's all cleaned up and stuff, put some of it back together, get it off the stand here, and then put it on something where I can play around with the piece of bell housing and starter, and I can see if I can make the thing run on, maybe see if I can make the thing run. Also, spinning it over with that is a better way of checking the compression. I don't think you can check compression very well if you can't spin it over fast. So yeah, that's how the motor's going. So we got a big mess to deal with. A lot of oil mixed up with sludge in there. I'm not really sure how to get rid of all this stuff. Probably the best thing to do is to wipe it up with rags and yuck. I can already see this mustache bar. These mounts have already been helicoiled. So that's going to be a little tricky once we get to putting this. So I don't know. This is probably not the best engine that I could put in that. But what I'm hoping I can do is, I have just bought an ultrasonic cleaner. Maybe not the biggest one I should have gotten. And I've been messing around with cleaning carburetors. And I just grabbed random carburetors. These aren't necessarily the ones that fit on this motor. And I've just been putting them in there and taking them apart and cleaning them up. And some of them are really filthy. They got the cleaning solution really dirty in the process. That's for later, obviously. I mean, I spent a lot of time cleaning this place up and it's already dirty again. There's a ladder there. Somewhere here, I put the doghouse. There's other dog houses. These are all, there's the doghouse. Let's see. Well, the thermostat just broke off of this thing, so I don't know if I could replace that bit. If I can find a nicer one of these, I will. I've got stuff. So this is the fuel pump that, maybe the fuel pump is seized and that kept the engine from turning all the way. That sounds really, you would think that wouldn't do it, but who knows? I don't know. We've got other fuel pumps, so yeah. But the important thing is it turns all the way. Seems like it's doing what it's supposed to do. Now let's blow out that crap. Oh my god, this is going to be a mess. I should be wearing a mask, but I'm not. So, alright. And here's the block. Actually, looks pretty good. There's a couple of weird things about it. Like, there's some very strange bumps right here. Hopefully that's not the sign of something worse, but maybe those are just imperfections in the mold or something. It came pretty clean. Oh, we can actually see something there. What does that say? 21T. It's never been repainted, so I'm actually, there's another mark right there. I'm willing to believe that this engine has never been taken apart. I don't think this case has ever been cracked open, and I'm not about to. So, and there's the stuff from the bottom there. I am gonna have to find one of these that's better. Obviously, I gotta take the rest of this tin off, and the pulley. I found a better pulley down there. It's just greasy. But that's all I'm gonna do for today, because this was really hard on my hands when I did this yesterday, and I told myself I was gonna give my hands a break. But I did blow all the mouse crap out of there. There's lots of these little cherry pits or something. I'm not sure. Cherry seeds? So, yeah, that's how it stands. Looking good, I guess. Perhaps one of the next things I might actually do, once I get my little test stand going, clean this one off and see what happens when you put a starter on this. You know, I don't know. This is because I would like to get this in this Carmen Ghia and put it up for sale, sell it as a rolling project car, or running project car, and that'll give me all this space, because I need more space. Not to put more stuff in here, just to have space to work around. Because once I start getting into this TS, I'm going to be taking engines apart. I'm going to need more floor space, definitely. So that's how it is at the Filthy Gearbox garage.
As you can see, I'm still dealing with the aftermath of all the crap my dad left behind. You think it was bad here? You should have seen it in the 1990s and, you know, up until the point when he went into the nursing home and we could do whatever the hell we wanted with his shit. Like I said, it deserves its own video, and it's coming. And trust me, I have the receipts to prove how much work it was involved to clean it all up. But I'm gonna have to leave you on this cliffhanger. Would I successfully replace the engine in this green bus and be on my merry way again? Or would I be sucked into an endless cleaning situation at my parents' house? Or would I get distracted by some shiny new project instead? Well, spoiler alert, I have a new mistress now.